אף אחד בעולם לא ייתן לנו להמית ברעב ובצמא 2 מיליון אזרחים. למרות שזה אולי צודק ומוסרי, עד שלא מחזירים את החטופים שלנו, הומניטרי תמורת הומניטרי, נכון מוסרית, אין מה לעשות, חיים היום בתוך מרחב, צריך לגיטימציה בינלאומית למלחמה הזאת.
International legitimacy is needed for the war? I'm pretty sure it's not, my guy. My guy there is far-right Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who is arguing at a conference, the Katif Conference for National Responsibility, that starving 2 million people in Gaza is morally justified, but sadly, they can't do it, except they are. But he ostensibly is bemoaning the fact that some very limited aid is actually getting into Gaza, and we'll talk about just how much and what it's looking like right now, in the beginning of August. But his full comments, and he went on, he said, it is impossible in today's global reality to wage war. No one in the world would let us starve and thirst 2 million citizens, even though it may be just and moral, until they return our hostages, he said, adding that if Israel controlled aid distribution instead of Hamas, put a pin in that, the war would have ended by now and the hostages would have returned. Quote, you cannot fight Hamas with one hand and give them aid with the other. It's his Hamas money, Hamas's money, and it's his fuel. It's his civilian control of the Gaza Strip. It just doesn't work. He also added, no one talks about Israeli military rule of Gaza now. No need to unclog sewers, no needs for education, no need for welfare. Gaza in the next 2 years is going to be a war zone. You need some food, some medicine, and a minimum of sanitation, water, sewage, that's it. Okay, there's a little bit of fact checking that needs to be happened, but just taking him at face value, he's saying there's going to be no end to this war. Some would call it a genocide. You don't actually really need to do much. You need just a little bit of food, but other than that, that's it. There's a lot of claims in there that apparently they can't get away with starvation even though they want to. But also, why would they give Hamas food? Because Hamas is controlling all of the food that goes in. Not actually true, according to the aid organizations who are desperately trying to get Gazans that food. There's a trickle of trucks that have been allowed in, according to the UN. There's only one crossing from other countries, either Egypt or Israel, into Gaza at the moment. It's Kerem Shalom. The Rafah border crossing has been closed for months now. Remember, the trucks are not allowed to be full, even if they do enter the Gaza Strip. And once they are there, it is very difficult to distribute those trucks and get them, let's say, to the north of Gaza or to different areas where the aid is most needed. In fact, NPR reported 3 weeks ago that aid is piling up because of how unsafe it is to actually distribute it. Aid groups say that coordinating their movements with the Israeli military inside of Gaza remains a complicated and time-consuming process, sometimes requiring hours to coordinate safe access to the Gaza side of the Kerem Shalom border. Despite these efforts, Israeli airstrikes have hit aid workers on multiple occasions. We all know what happened to the World Central Kitchen workers, missile right direct through their convoy. No mistaking it. Before I kick it to you, John, the Mercy Corps senior operations manager said, this is not a logistical challenge. It's not a physical or a topographical one. It's primarily a political one. If there is a will, it will happen. So Smotrich, once again, being the worst. And I don't even know why I know all the names of these far-right Knesset members, other than the fact that they're genociding an entire population. But there's just amazing that he can say something so egregious, John, and then at the same time lie so hard about God. But we have to comply with international law. No, they haven't been,
and they're not. Yeah, 100%.
And they're not.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that's helping him to get away with saying such terrible things is he has realized what people like Donald Trump did, which is if you just say one, then people will criticize you. But if every week you say another absolutely reprehensible, inhumane thing, then eventually it just becomes, oh, that's him, that's what he does. I'm glad that you mentioned the attack on the WCK workers. In a general sense, like when you use those food trucks occasionally as bait to massacre hundreds of people, that also seems like a violation of some sort of law. And on what he said, Like, we deal every day in covering the news with people who have horrid ethical failings or utterly corrupt or advocate for terrible things or psychologically broken. We deal with a lot of that. And they're truly bad people that fill our government at a variety of levels. But occasionally you hear a thing that reminds you, oh yeah, there's levels to this. Yeah. There are monsters, there are demons that walk among us in human form. There are people driven by pure, undiluted evil that would gladly starve millions of people in pursuit of some political goal or whatever. Like the way he talked about starving Gazans, and not just the starvation, talking about what he thinks is an acceptable next 2 years for the region and all of that.
Yep.
If he had said that about starving 2 million dogs, everyone I think would agree that's unacceptable. I bet even he would think that that is unacceptable. But it's a reminder of what way too many people think about the civilian population of Gaza. They do not put them on the same moral level as a group of 2 million random dogs. They believe that there is more fundamental humanity, to animals than there are to those people, that simply because they were born in close proximity to some terrorists, screw them. It doesn't matter if they literally starve to death. Right. And for regular people watching this, it's unacceptable. Like, you can't imagine being in that position, and yet those people have a ton of power.
Absolutely, and he doesn't draw a distinction, obviously, between Hamas and civilians, and obviously there's no distinction drawn between Hamas's political wing and its militant wing. And he's also someone who is on record saying Palestinians don't exist. He's Palestinian, saying he is Palestinian. He's from Ukraine, y'all. I just want to put that out there. And again, this is the project of this country, right? It's to say that others can immigrate there. Meanwhile, Palestinians have no right of return and they need to be expelled, expunged, murdered, and killed. Guys, we just talked about Cori Bush losing her election thanks to AIPAC money. And here you have a far right leader in Israel saying this war is going to continue for 2 more years. Tell me this issue is going away, because it's not. It will not be going away. This is a long haul fight, and what we do in this country absolutely matters.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a young Turk.